Good morning. Good morning. Java Delight will uplift you. Stay tuned. The show is about to begin. Grab your coffee. Stay tuned. This show is about to begin.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Friday and welcome to Java Delight. My name is Brandon Ross Croucher III. This is my absolutely adorably good-looking, younger, better-looking self. He's from my past. We time traveled, and he is Gavin Kerr.
Wonderful. Hello.
You're like, wait, I did what?
Do you change your name in the future then?
I do.
Around like my name.
Yeah, no. My original name is Gavin Kerr, and the thing is, I time traveled and came back in time to change my name at 18, and that's when I became Brandon Ross Croucher III. I have no idea if there's two others ahead of me or not.
Wait, but I'm 21, so why is my name still Gavin Kerr?
I let you. Hold on, I got cream cheese.
It's a great distraction from the question.
Great distraction. Well, it's
So, what do you plan on doing about the COVID? Sorry, I had cream cheese.
Sorry, walk away.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't know why your name didn't change. I have a feeling that the universe hasn't caught up to us yet. Leave me alone. I was trying to make a joke and I'm tired.
I've seen a lot of time travel movies, and that doesn't sound like any of them.
You mean the fact that name changes are real in them? Grandin. Yes.
Crotchker.
Like, I don't even know how to pronounce that. So
Crotchker.
Crotchker?
You know what's weird, though, to me? Yeah, Crotchker. That sounds like a peanut butter company. Crotchker Farms.
You know what? It does. Speaking of that, did you get a picture message I sent you?
I did, but I haven't had time to check it.
I want to see your reaction. Can you open it?
Yeah.
So today we're celebrating a holiday that I'm sure 9 out of 10 people
Oh,
don't
Jesus
know.
Christ.
What happened? Oh, the thing froze! It literally froze. I have you wiping your eye. Oh.
I see that.
So we are actually celebrating a holiday that I guarantee a lot of people do not really realize is happening today. Today is no.
I agree with you. Before you tell people what the holiday is, I agree that a lot of people do not know what the holiday is. But I also bet you that there are way more people celebrating the holiday than they realize.
Ooh, that's a good point. That is a very good point. So, like, should we tell them what the holiday is, or just like give them a little hint?
I think that we'll tell them as we're talking here. I think our articles will let them know.
I agree. Do you want to do the first article?
Yeah, I am. Are you celebrating today's holiday?
I am celebrating today's holiday.
So am I.
Oh, really? Like,
yeah, as of right now, I'm celebrating it.
Me
good.
too. I bet we have our guest in the back celebrating as well. Bob, give me a thumbs up. Are you celebrating today? I got a big thumbs up.
He's outside too.
We're gonna bring him in a minute. Tell me, Gavin, you go with the first article, and I am getting ready for the next one. I got my article in the right behind you.
So I'm going to go ahead and share this one first. I have this, and then I got a little Twitter feed to go down.
I love it.
So today, May 7th, is National No Pants Day.
Yep.
You got Dennis the Menace here. I hope Mr. Wilson knows about this. Give to charity that helps people in need of clothing, like a room to grow.
Ooh.
More than 25 cartoonists behind strips for Blondie and to Zippy the Pinhead are celebrating a quirky holiday, No Pants Day, in a way that helps charities get clothing to those in need.
Mm-hmm.
Participating artists are drawing these characters without trousers and urging readers to donate clothing to thrift and secondhand stores by hard-hitting COVID-19. This is a great way to help bring communities together, but also have a little bit of a laugh, said T. Fogner, comic editor at King Feature Syndicate. Just the idea of No Pants Day, I think, is something that everybody can feel a little bit closer to this year than the previous year. No Pants Day, held on the first Friday in May, is believed to have been started by a group of students at the University of Texas who thought leaving the pants at home on the first Friday in May would have been a fun way to end the semester. A winter spin-off was created called No Pants Subway Ride. Comic creators have noticed that the COVID-19 pandemic has affected people's ability to get clothing to charities, and charities have not gotten as many donations as typically.
Correct.
Coming down. Whoa, what's my computer doing? Why am I zooming?
Mine was bouncing all over too a second ago. I was trying to open a picture for you and it wouldn't let me.
We're getting hacked. That's what it is.
It is. The government's after us.
Yes. They're upset about our no pants shenanigans.
Oh.
In a gracious move among comic strip distributors, King Features reached out to fellow syndicators, tribute content agency Andrews McNeil University, and Washington Post writers group to pull off the Friday's event. We may be business competitors, but we're also part of the same family, said Fogner. We all love comics and we love our communities. At the end of the day, that's really what cartooning is about. So We want as many cartoonists as possible to take part in activities like this. Cartoonists were connected in February about the project, and finishing comics started to come by in March. In some cases, artists needed a quick brainstorming session to figure out a way to approach the request. Not Bill Griffith, the artist behind Zippy and Pinhead. He emailed back right away and said, well, no pants wearing is Zippy's thing, said Fogner. Organizers left it up to the individual cartoonists. Some participating strips included Shoe, Article Circle, Hi and Louis, Rhymes with Orange, which a lot of stuff rhymes with orange, by the way, Rhymes with Orange, Mullard Fillmore, and Sally Forth. How to incorporate the message. The strip ranged from medieval knights to modern office workers, all sporting underwear. You'll see a variety of some cartoonists who took a very direct approach where they have their characters in comics donating clothes to people, said Fogner, and some folks just depict it with characters not wearing pants or put in a little happy no pants message in the comic. Oliver Brinker's Ray the Doe has a character donating clothes at an LGBT center, while Dennis the Menace urges readers give to charity that helps people in need of clothing, like Room to Grow. The event has the latest attempt by the comic community to help society. Last year, more than 70 comic strips and panels band together to hide 6 symbols in their artwork to honor workers on the front line of the coronavirus. And then I also have a fun little, I got 2 things.
2? You got 2? I got 2 too.
It's a double whammy.
We got you.
Here is what Twitter is doing right now with No Pants Day.
Ooh.
We got some Seinfeld. He's got nothing. Winnie the Pooh, life's too short for pants.
I love it. This is so cute. Like, for real.
It is. It's little comic strips. And when you think about it, there's a lot of cartoon characters that just naturally don't have pants.
Oh, yeah. I love it.
People posting pictures of the legs.
So, this is a very unique holiday that a lot of it. We found Brian Tracy. This is a holiday that a lot of people don't really understand. It started in 2002 as a way of helping bring attention to homelessness and people who don't have clothes, that can't afford pants and clothes and all this. And this is a way of saying, take your gently used clothes and get them out and give them to people who are in need. Today, Gavin and I have both agreed we are going to do the entire episode pantless. If you don't believe me, don't worry, we have proof. I'll start with this one. You ready, Gavin? Like I said, I had two as well. So let's use this one first. That is you can see me trying not to be completely self-conscious here. And then the other one I have, you ready for this? This one's the one that, this is the reason for everything that I did, is Mr. Will Smith is doing a dad bod thing, and he started with this. And I was like, I love it. It's a great idea. He's focusing on getting his health back and getting back into the jacked shape that he was at one point for like Independence Day and stuff. He's gained a lot of weight, but the No Pants Day thing seems to be a common thing with him. He wanted to do something different and show off his dad bod, and he's donating to charity. And I'm reading this morning, and I text Gavin, and I'm like, dude, we got to do this holiday. So, ladies and gentlemen, the whole episode will be in my underwear. I still don't believe you don't ever. I put underwear on just for this episode, Miss Nelson. Please know that. There it is. Gavin, look at the new tattoo. I think I need to put my leg up too. Just be like this. You guys don't need my head. You just need our underwear today. We're showing off. I hope you're all ready for this because, oh, dang God. Gavin and I have been talking about this, and our whole process is about giving back and getting to other people. So if I can wear underwear and help get clothes out to the homeless, and everybody takes their clothes and takes them to a Goodwill, a whatever that you donate food, your clothes to, go out and donate today. I truly mean that from the bottom of my heart. Go through, find. Oh, thank you. Go out and from the bottom of my heart, just go out and give today. Give some clothes that are lightly used, because there's always an excuse. There's always a reason we don't do stuff, but at the end of the day, we have the opportunity. Gavin, our guest today, since we're not wearing pants, we have a couple guests today. We have two. We have Lynda Ulrich. She is the founder of Ever Widening Circles, a positive global media company that began publishing articles in 2014 about remarkable insights and innovation going uncelebrated. Now she is on a mission to bring us all together around an enormous wave of goodness and the progress well underway in the world that almost no one knows about. She's calling that global wave the conspiracy of goodness. Ooh, I like her already. Lynda is being interviewed by news medias around the world about opening up a new era of her best-selling. My mom's watching the show and just sent me a picture of her covering her eyes. It's so funny. I'm sorry. It came up on my screen. She has her best-selling book, positive news website, app, podcast, education website, TED Talk X, and public speaking and consulting website, and recently launched a conspiracy goodness network, all helping to do just that. Guys, this is going to be a fun interview today. She has a wonderful energy. She is doing positive things like we like to do. But before we do that, I want to introduce everybody to a very, very amazing man that we are honored to have on here. Mr. Bob Seymour is joining us this morning. He is the epitome of what you are supposed to do in life and act in life and treat others. So do us a favor, put your hands together, say hello, and let Bob Seymour know how welcome he is. Hello, Bob. How are you today?
Morning, Mr. Seymour.
Hey,
how you doing?
good morning, guys. How you guys doing?
We have
Doing
no
great.
complaints. No complaints. We have a lot of people laughing at the fact that we are not wearing pants today. We're shocking our audience. We're donating pants to charity today. Now
We're gaining views as well.
Yeah, let's not leave the ladies out of this one too. You know.
Oh, that's true, ladies. Do us a favor. Do us a favor. Send us a picture of you without pants on. My private email address is, Sarah's watching, never mind. But Bob, you actually had a great story. You were telling us before, you're getting the love, buddy. Look at that.
Yeah.
You had a great story before we started the show, we were telling you about No Pants Day. Tell me a little bit about what happened with the homeless guy you were able to help, and how you were able to do something so simple that made such a difference.
Yeah, I was on my way out here to Colorado a couple of years ago, and I come off this on-ramp near Birmingham, and there was a guy, a homeless-looking guy, standing there. He looked like hell. I mean, he was dirty and looked tired. So I just felt this urge in my gut. So I just pulled the scooter over and walked back and started talking to him. His name was Jim, and he told me he had slept in a dumpster behind the McDonald's the night before. And so anyway, we got talking, and I took him back over. I turned my scooter around, went back, and took him over and bought him breakfast. And then we went back over. But before I left, I gave him my sleeping bag, because all he had was a brown paper bag. He looked dirtier than hell. He was in shoes with no socks and whatnot. So I gave him a clean pair of pants, a couple of shirts, and my sleeping bag. And I got his picture of him. His name was Jim. And I started to walk away, and I turned around and I looked at him. And I said, Jim, if there was anything in the world you could have right now, what would you want? And he looked at me and had tears coming down his eyes. And he said, brother, if I had a pair of clean socks, I'd be a happy man. So I gave the brother like 3 pair of socks, a pair of my pants, and I just blessed the guy, gave him a little bit of cash, and then just took off.
And it's something we don't think about, but that clean pair of socks, I'm sure some of our veterans that watch and people like that can attest. Like in the Army, they teach you keep your socks clean. I learned that from Forrest Gump, and.
I learned it personally, brother.
I see that I tried. I was like, "Hey, I'm willing to fight," and they're like, "Hey, we don't like people like you." No, I'm just kidding. But
well, when I went in, if you could chew gum and walk, they take you, man.
I'm like, I have a learning disability, and they're like, "Yeah, no, we're not going to deal with people like you," you know. But no, you. Thank you for your service, by the way.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Like I know we've had people have had conversations on here with vets, and we ask them like how they prefer to be like thanked. Do they like the thank you? Do they prefer a door held and a nod? Do they prefer a salute? Stuff like that. And the conversations are very interesting to see how different vets treat things differently. I love it, and I just want you to know the fact that you did that for us is a very honorable thing, and I love that you still come back, and as a vet, you're still like, hey, socks, take them, people, take this.
Yeah.
Now, are you wearing
That's something we really
right
do take for granted, are the little things like having clean socks.
I actually have, I only have 2 pair of pants left, man. I only own, all I own is, I mean, I could put everything I own on my motorcycle. So I have to keep down low. So I try to keep 4 sets of clothes on me, but I keep running into people all the time, and I end up giving away. I'm down to 2 pair of pants now, and yeah, it's so I just do what I do, man.
Now, I have to ask, because I've been told you have an amazing thing about you getting on your motorcycle and your focus of why you go out and why you ride your motorcycle so much and all that. So you only have 4 pairs of pants for this. Tell us about what you do with your motorcycle and what you're going out and doing.
Well, it's kind of weird because everything I'm doing was totally unplanned. I've told the story before. My wife died. I lost everything I had. I had no retirement, nothing, and I had a dream to ride a motorcycle in all 48 states before I met the wife. And when she died, my kids were grown, and I was 60 years old. And I said, if I don't do this now, I'm never going to do it. So I just went out for a ride. I was a pastor in a church for about 27 years, and I resigned my position. They didn't accept my resignation, but I left anyway. I had to go, and I thought I was just trying to get out of the surreal whatever, So I just took off on this ride, and then the next thing you know, man, I start meeting people. I've got a network. In fact, a good friend just gave me a pop-up camper to tow behind my trailer, and I took off or behind my bike. I took off from Atlanta. I had never pulled anything with a motorcycle before. So I just hooked up. I had a hitch put on Saturday, and on Sunday I hooked up and I took off and I rode up to Indiana to see a good friend of mine. And so I never got to set the camper up there. I made that shot in one day, and then the next day, when I left his place, I went over through almost to Springfield, Missouri, through Illinois, and then I dropped down into Arkansas and was going to camp down there. And then some brother said, "Hey, I'm only another 70 miles, So I said, all right. So I rode down to Arkansas, and I met this brother, Mike Davidson, who actually bought the emblems for my motorcycle 2 years ago that says Bullwinkle on it. So I didn't get to set the thing up there, and I left there and went up to Kansas City, and I got friends there, so I didn't get to use the camper in Kansas City. And then I left there and went over to Wichita and spent the night a week with my friend over there. I didn't get to use it there, and then I went to Waukene, Kansas, and I couldn't use it there. And then I left there, and now I'm in Colorado. So I got friends. Like, I don't think I can go 300 miles in any direction in the country without somebody that I know somewhere through Facebook and whatnot. So, but anyway, when I resigned from the church, I just took off to go for a ride, man. I thought, I'm all done with the ministry and stuff. I was wrong. I went from like this congregation I co-pastored with a couple of hundred people to like 2 million. I mean, it's just like 56 countries around the world. I couldn't have planned it. Hollywood could not have written a script for my life for the last 5 years, but it's been incredible, man. I'm still doing weddings and funerals, and I do more marriage counseling than you can imagine, and conflict resolution. It's just like, help me, Jesus.
Right. So with everything that you've done, you've traveled. Have you hit all 48 states that you wanted?
I did. I left on February the 5th of 2016, and on November the 5th, I was done. And then I bought the motorcycle on January the 5th on 2016, and on January the 5th, 2017, I had 50,000 miles down. And wow. I just turned 142. I'm pushing 143,000 on this bike now.
I got to ask, what kind of bike?
Amazing.
I got a 2015 Heritage, Harley Davidson Heritage.
Nice.
Those are good for long ride.
How do you afford the upkeep on it? Putting all those miles on it, I gotta imagine there's things you gotta fix.
I can't afford it, man. I have the only income I have is Social Security survivor benefits. It's just been the brotherhood. I mean, it's been people who believe in what I do, who help me out. I mean, the biker community has gone above and beyond, man. It's just incredible. I never ask anybody for nothing. I just don't. When I took off on this ride, I felt like I heard the Spirit of God tell me, take nothing with me and just trust me. So I did. I took off, and I'm still trusting him. But all my tires, I don't think I've had to buy more than 3 tires myself. I haven't had to do many services. It's just the goodness of people, man. There are a lot of good people in this country. If you watch the news, we're going to hell in a handbasket. But if you get out here in America, where the people really are, man, we're in good shape, man. There's a lot of good people out here.
I absolutely love that energy that you're bringing with that, because that is such a positive way of looking at it. And having the faith, like, to step out like that and just go with 4 pairs of pants, and then you give all the socks away. Like you're Mother Teresa with a beard.
I'll tell you one thing I have learned, man. I've learned this. Unbelievable, man. You cannot outgive God. You can try, and I've been trying for 6 years. You cannot outgive God. If you do the right thing from the right heart, man, you can't go wrong. You just can't go wrong.
Yeah.
So, Bob, you are going to be doing a segment with us on Fridays and having some fun with us. It's all about giving back and doing good things and spreading positivity. I am so excited for this. You came from Brian Tracy, and he goes, Brandon, just meet Bob. And I'm like, I want to meet him on air because I have a feeling him and I are just going to like click right away. And the first time you meet me, you were so hot, I had to take my pants off. So
put them on, brother. Put them on.
Put them back on. But
it was the beard.
It was the beard. I did. The minute I got on, the first thing I said was the beard. And I understand Gavin did the same. I love it. Yeah. With your travels, give us a story of something where you saw like just blessings come in when you didn't think they were coming? Something that opened your eyes to be like, oh, thank you.
Oh man, that's an easy one. I was in it was 2016. I was in Moorcroft, Wyoming. A friend of mine I had never met, just on Facebook. I went up to Sturgis. I didn't have a place to stay. I didn't have any money or nothing. I just took off because I had this thing in my gut that said I had to go. And on the way up there, I got a message from this lady, Sammy Burke, down in Houston. And she said, brother, I see you're going to Sturgis. You need a place to stay. I've got an empty house. Nobody's furnished. You can have it. So I went and I went to the bar and met the real estate agent, got her key, went and found a house, and it was amazing. So I'm down in the cellar. Nobody knew, man. I'm in the basement where it was a little cooler. It was a beautiful house, but I'm running out of money. I mean, I had less than $200 to my name, and I was like, it's over. I can't go much farther. There's no way in hell I'm going to make this 48 state ride. So I was on Facebook actually writing I'm sorry, I screwed up. I can't do this. I've got to drop the dream. I can't go on. And as I was writing that post for Facebook, a brother in Manny, Louisiana named Steve, just out of the blue, nobody knew, sent me $600. And as I was writing that, I went, oh my God. I
love that.
It cost me $100 a day when I'm on the road for gas and food and whatnot. And I had none, man. And I was blown away. So I went right from the paragraph I was writing about I've got to give up to holy crap, you're not going to believe what just happened. And then as I was writing that, some lady, I don't remember who this was, but some lady in, I think it was Wisconsin, sent me $200 more. And I was like, so, and it's just been like that all along, man. It's been crazy. I have one brother over in Indiana. Every month, this brother's been so faithful, man. He sends me $150 or $100 every month. But that's the only income I have. Other than that, I mean, I just trust God. If He tells me I got to go somewhere, I'm like, okay. I hope you know what you're doing, because here we go, brother.
You're like, all right, I'll go.
Along with all this, I gotta imagine that there is a steady, healthy amount of anxiety that's kind of always on you. Of, hey, what if something happens to the bike? What if something happens to me? What if something happens to my finances? How do you deal with that?
I was really blessed about that one, because I was trying to save, because I had a 2-year warranty on the bike. And to get an extended warranty, you have to have less than 75,000 miles on the bike. Well, at the end of this second year, I mean, in the middle of the second year, I was at 74,600 miles, and I've been saving my change, and I had a total of like $90 in a little bag. And 1 year extension of the extended warranty was $900. And I was like, oh God, I'm screwed. And I get a message from this guy over in North Carolina, asked me, where did I buy my motorcycle? So I sent a guy, I bought it at New River Harley in Jacksonville, North Carolina. So he didn't respond back. So I was on my way over to my son's in Atlanta from Birmingham. It's only a couple-hour ride. So I get over there, and I got a message back from the guy again saying, hey, call the dealership and ask for John. Now, John's a good friend of mine over there. So I called him. And John was like, brother, I'm glad you called, man. I need your signature. And I said, I ain't signing nothing, man. I paid cash for that motorcycle. I don't know nobody. He said, no. Somebody just called me and gave me their card information and just bought the 5-year extended warranty on your motorcycle for it. And I was like, what? So they FedEx the forms to me, and he didn't buy the 5-year extended warranty. He bought me a 7-year extended warranty on the motorcycle. Never met the guy before. I messaged him and I said, brother, where do you live? I have to come and thank you. And he just said, man, you don't owe me nothing, man. You've done more for me and my wife in the last 2 years than you will ever know. And we just want to make sure you stay on the road and keep doing what you're doing, man. And that has been the story for the last 5-6 years on the road, man. It's just been, I have a need. I say, Dad, I could use some help right now. And boom, somebody comes in on it, and it's just amazing.
What you're doing, while you're not doing anything directly. I mean, sometimes you are, like the homeless man, for instance. But a lot of these people, you're not doing anything directly to them in a sense, but you're inspiring them. You're giving them hope. You're giving them dreams. Like you're showing them it doesn't matter how old you are. If you want to go do something, you are able to do it. You just have to sort of take that leap of faith, which is exactly what you did, and it's powerful.
It's been scary as hell at times. I mean,
I believe it.
I went from 40 years of marriage and had 20 acres out in the middle of the woods, couple of horses, 3 dogs, and in 23 days, I lost everything, man. I mean, it was gone, and now, man, sometimes I'll get off the bike when I'm getting gas or something and go back to get on it, and I'll stand there and I'll see, a motorcycle. Now I got a trailer on back, but it used to just be my motorcycle and one tea bag there, and that's everything I have. I mean, I have nothing. And I'm like, how the hell did this happen?
So you're like, I let you have 2. No, I let you have 2 in a row. It's my turn. I want to talk to Bob. Fine. We're fighting over who can talk to Bob. Mine's a quick one. I promise. So you
look at that smile he froze on.
Who, me or Bob?
Oh, Bob, he froze with the biggest smile on his face.
He did. Your smile just lights up the room. But with your experience, it's very easy for people, whether you're religious or not, you've lost everything. That's like Jacob did in the Bible. Like everything, or not Jacob. Am I right? Is it Jacob? Where everything is whole. He lost his house, his money, his family, his kids, all in one day. Oh,
I didn't catch. I'm sorry,
so you're good. You're good. I'm losing, it's sure it's man. No, Bob. Can you hear me, Bob?
You broke up bad. I didn't hear you. I can now. There for a minute, you were breaking all up, man.
See what happens when you ask questions, Brandon?
I see. Like God did not want me to have the answer. With everything you've been through, it's easy to find negatives, but you turned it and said, nope, I might have lost everything, just like Jacob did in the Bible. He literally lost everything, and he turns around and he goes out or wait, was it Solomon? Whatever. He goes out and he has to start over. Job, oh my gosh. Right. I haven't read the Bible in a few years. I'm a former youth pastor, so please know I try, but it's if you don't use it, you lose it. So you're like Job. You went out, and instead of letting the negative affect you, you turned it into a positive. How do you keep that positive in you every day?
Well, it's a struggle sometimes, but that book of Job, man, the very first night that my wife was in the hospital when they told me, this ain't gonna end well. I went home. It was like 3:00 in the morning. I threw my Bible open. I was a mess. I was a surreal state. I'm like, holy cow, what's going on, God? And I opened my Bible. First chapter of Job comes up, and the first thing I thought was, oh shit, this ain't good, man. But I started reading, and when I got through the first couple of paragraphs, the first opening of Job is like God's having this board meeting and all the angels and stuff around, and it was God that went to Job and said, hey, or went to the devil, because the devil was in the meeting, and he said, so what have you been doing, man? And the devil's like, well, I just been wandering around looking, checking things out, and it was God that said to Job, or said to the devil, have you noticed my servant Job, man? And the devil was like, yeah, I have, go ahead, take all of his wealth away, and he'll turn his back on you in a minute. So he goes out, and in one day, Job loses he was the richest man in the world, and he lost it all in one day. And then back in the boardroom again, God says, so how'd that work for you, dude? Of course, I'm paraphrasing. And the devil says, well, you know what? Yeah, okay, so take away his children. He's got 10 kids. You take them away. He'll turn on you. So in one day, Job lost all 10 of his kids in freak accidents. Mm-hmm. And still he didn't turn on God. And the devil, God's again. So how'd that work, dude? So the devil says, all right, take his health. And God says, okay, do anything to him you want, but you can't take his life. So the guy was covered with blisters and boils from the bottom of his feet to the top of his head. And his wife even said to him, curse God and die, man, get over. And Job said, no, even if he kills me, I'm going to serve him because he's worthy. And when I read that, I went, oh my God, this is not about cancer. This is not about my wife overcoming and being healed from cancer, although that was a huge part of it. I mean, but I knew at that moment it was all about our faith. It was all a battle for our mind. And if we could keep our mind and our faith straight, it was all going to be okay. My wife passed the test, man. Her faith was stronger on her last breath than it was the day she met the Lord the first time, man. And that's what it's all about, having an eternal perspective on things. Everything works out for good if we press through. There's good that can come out of everything. I could see no good that came out of my wife's death, man. None. But 5 years later, I see it all over the place. My wife prayed for prodigals for 30 years, and now I'm out there bringing prodigals, people that used to be in the church, but because they didn't fit into the denominational box, they felt rejected, and they get all bent out of shape, and they run away angry at God. They think they're angry at God, but they're really angry at the church, because the church is about the lousiest messenger of the gospel there ever was, man. I mean, they're really failing miserably, man. I mean, my job, I get a lot of crap because I'm not out there getting in these bikers' faces and saying, look, if you don't follow Jesus, you're going to hell. That ain't good news, man. My job is to spread the good news. And the good news is there's a Father in heaven, and he loves you, and he just wants a conversation with you. I'm not trying to make a Methodist or a Baptist or nothing. I'm just going out there trying to tell these people who believe a lie about God because of a denominational system that, hey, there's a God out there. He ain't a religious fanatic. He ain't just sitting out there waiting for you to screw up so he can swat you up the side of the head and bring you back into line. He genuinely wants a conversation with you. And I've led thousands and thousands of people back to faith, not back to the church. I mean, some have gone back to the church, but the church, as we know it, is not the answer, man. The answer is just having a relationship with the God. And I don't know what that looks like. I was raised with 11 brothers and sisters. My folks loved every one of us. They would have died for any of us. But I didn't have the same relationship with my dad that my brothers did, because I was a little pain in the ass that needed a spanking a lot. My brothers and sisters were pretty cool people, you know. And it's the same thing with God, man. I don't know what your relationship with him looks like, and I don't care. That's between you and him. You know? So I'm just going out there telling people, you know, the good news.
I love
there is a God, and he loves you, man. And and I never push what I believe on anybody. I don't. I always, before I meet somebody new, I always say, God, I ain't going to bring you up. I'm not going to talk to them about you. If you want me to bring this up, you have them open the door. Otherwise, I'm just going out there to love them, give my pants to them, you know, just whatever, you know. That's just what I do. I just go out and I try to love people right where they're at. I'm not trying to change anybody. I'm not trying to push any doctrine. I'm just going out there trying to get people to like get in touch with their inner self, so to speak, and communicate with their God. Because, you know, success, the literal meaning of success is the fulfillment of original purpose. And the original purpose of every human being is to be in a relationship with their creator. And out of that relationship, you find your identity, you understand what life is all about, and everything flows out of that. Until somebody knows that, they're always trying to fulfill this hole inside us. You know, God said through King Solomon in Ecclesiastes, he put eternity in the heart of man. Every human being knows there's something bigger than us out there. And I'm just trying to introduce people to who that is, man, without getting all religious about it, because religion totally sucks, man. Religion's what hung Jesus on a cross.
What I love most about you, Bob, is you let your actions do the speaking for you. Your actions are what's showing your faith, and that is what faith is. And a lot of people miss that, and that's why the church is having the problems that it does. I love that you're like, no, I'm going to go hit the streets. I'm going to go hit people. I'm going to go where I'm supposed to be, not staying in four walls. All right, Gavin, I asked my question. I'll start up now. Go ahead.
No, you're good. You're good. I had a different question, but now I have a new question just hearing that story, because I have not read the Bible, and I'm familiar with some of the stories. I went to like camps and stuff like that as a young child, and it's the stories are very popular, obviously. So I've heard a handful of them. What happened to Job though? after all these things. Whereas, because I've heard your story where like you've had all these beautiful things happen to you now from these tragedies, and I'm very, very grateful for that for you. But what happened to Job? I'm confused.
Well, Job, he went through hell, and he had these friends that tried to console him, and his friends didn't have a clue what the hell was going on. They were trying to figure out what Job did to screw everything up. They didn't realize that Job didn't do a damn thing. But you know how people are, Job's comforters, telling you might have had it, you didn't have enough faith or whatever. But at the end of the book, he starts whining a little bit, and God dresses him down pretty good and says, "Hey, really? You're giving me hell? The guy that created the snow." I mean, God dressed him down pretty good and humbled Job. And then one of the last verses in the book of Job says that Job prayed for his friends, and when he prayed for his friends, everything was restored to him, his wealth, his children, everything, man. It was him.
Okay, he does get it back. Okay, that's what I was waiting for.
That's it. But not until he forgave his friends, the guys that were trying to trash him and tell him there was something wrong with him and all of this. When he got his own head together, he realized, this eternal perspective came in like, okay, this was part of a plan. I'm sorry, Lord. And then he prayed for his friends. And when he prayed for his friends, everything was restored, man. It's about forgiveness, brother.
Okay, that's a very important part of the story.
Yeah.
In my mind, all I was hearing was, no matter what you do, if God gives you hell, just love him anyway. Just because. That's what I was hearing. Okay, but there is, all right, there's a point. You got to
understand it ain't God giving you hell, man. God's not the author of sickness and death and all of this crap. That was the devil that did all that. Breaks God's heart when all this stuff happens in the world. He don't like that, but he said, the earth is mine and everything in it. It belongs to me because you guys asked. I've turned it all over to you for a little while. And when that little while is all over, then he comes back into it. But right now, he's drawn a line in the sand and said, I'm not crossing this. You guys wanted to go this without me? Here you go. I'm going to let you go and let you see what happens when you turn your back and walk away from me. But at some point, he's going to say, okay, time's up. Now let's get this right.
Right.
Well, I am curious now, what is, and this goes for anybody, it doesn't matter what your religion is. What is your interpretation of heaven? What is heaven to you?
Ooh, that's a good question, Gavin.
Man, just being in the presence of God, man, just being with him and knowing him the way he knows us and knowing each other. It's going to be, in fact, the Bible says nobody can even begin to conceive of what we can expect up there. It's like beyond, because heaven is an infinite place and we have finite minds. And as soon as we try to conceive of infinity, we blow it, because we can't even begin to imagine the glory, the majesty. I can't wait, but I have no clue what it's going to be like other than to be in his presence, man. And that in itself is going to be mind blowing, man. There's no high like the Most High, brother.
So where are your adventures going to take you next?
Well, right now I'm sitting in Elizabeth, Colorado with my friend Tamara in Kurt's place on a little ranch out here. I'm going to base here. I do most of what I do when I'm in Colorado, up in the Longmont, North Denver area. But I'm going to be going up to Wyoming and South Dakota here in a little while. I actually have to make a quick round trip run down to Florida and back next month, because 4 years ago, I promised a couple out here that I would officiate their wedding vow renewals, and it's in Florida, and this is the year. And I thought it was January when they asked me, because I thought, that would be cool. It'll be winter. I'll probably be around my son's place in Atlanta, and I can just shoot down to Florida, and then I'll spend the rest of the winter down there where it's warm. But then a couple of months ago, they told me it was in June, so I'm going to jump on the scooter and fly down to Florida, do the thing, and then fly back here, man.
So I have a Vespa. Can I just ride next to you if I get it tuned up and cruise with you?
I'll ride with anybody, man.
I have a scarf. It's just gonna flow in the wind, and you could be in the front. I know how to sit on the next side next to you. I'll just give you a nod. I know how to do that.
I'll pass, brother.
Man, that was the nicest I'll pass I've ever gotten. I've gotten looks. I'm like, people are like, you have a what? a Vespa. And I'm like, look, I want to have a real bike, but I can drive a Vespa on like around a city easier, and people don't look at me, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And my mom. Oh, my mom doesn't yell at me for that. Like, she yells at me for a motorcycle. She's like, "You're gonna get hurt," because she was a nurse, you know.
Everybody in Israel's on Vespas, man. Those things drive me crazy over there. It's like insane. And every time you go, and they have the right of way, man. You hit one of them guys, you're in big trouble. But they're everywhere, splitting lanes, cutting in. It's insane, man.
So what you're saying is the Holy Land. I'm like kind of in tune with it by having a Vespa too.
Hell. You hell, brother. Get you some little curls and a funny hat, and you'll be all set, brother.
I just trimmed this too. I gotta grow it like you know.
Yeah.
Well, when you get ready to go over, let me know. I've got a lot of friends over there. I've been over there dozens of times, man, and I'll set you right up, man.
Oh, I'm on.
I gotta know. What is it like pulling something with a motorcycle? What's it like riding with that? What's the hookup like? How big is it? Your pop-up trailer.
That was a little bit different. My motorcycle is a soft tail. It doesn't have the shock struts things on the back like most motorcycles do. It has two big pistons underneath the bike. So on the tail or on the fender, it has just a little bit of movement in it. So when I'm first taking off with the bike, I feel a little bit of wobble, but as soon as I get over like 10 miles an hour, smooths right out. And I had it up to, 75, 80 miles an hour going, and no problem. It just only when I'm slowing down, like, to a red light or something, I'll feel a little wobble. Other than that, just because I don't have brakes on the trailer, it just pushes you a little bit. So I've had to back off a little bit. I have to because I got a shorter braking distance and stuff now. But I've towed close to 3,000 miles with it now. I think I got a pretty good handle on it. I'm actually going to take it up in the mountains here pretty soon when it stops snowing up there.
That's actually what I was going to ask. I was going to say, you had your budgeting of knowing like your driving and the gas and everything. Yeah. Have you noticed that right when you got the trailer, it's helpful, but it's actually costing you more in gas, I assume?
Yeah, it does a little bit, but overall, it probably cost me maybe, like I normally get about 40 miles to the gallon. And then depending on what part of the country you're in, because there's different fuel mixtures on my bike, as soon as you fill it up, the computer reads all of the, the octane and all that crap, tells you how many miles you're going to get out of the tank. And I lost about 40 miles in a tank. So,
wow. That's a lot.
Yeah, well, yeah, especially now the gas is going up, but like I said, it's been cool because I haven't had to use a motel yet because I've got so many friends around the country. But I am going to get into it because I feel like when I bought this trailer, when these people gave me this trailer, I had this thing in my gut. I was thinking about trying to find one, because I just wanted to do the camping scene, but I don't like sleeping on the ground. So I messaged a friend, actually the same guy that bought the extended warranty for me. He's the guy that gave me this trailer. And so anyway, I'm going to get this thing. I'm going to get to use it someday, man.
I'll make you a deal. All right. Next time you come through Cleveland, just have it towing in the back. You don't even have to stop. I will just throw a bag in and jump in the back, and you'll never even know I'm there. And you and I are gonna cruise. My
bike's called Bullwinkle. I call the trailer's name is Natasha because she's always behind chasing Bullwinkle. I'm gonna get a sticker of Rocky and Bullwinkle and Natasha and Boris and put it right on the top of this thing.
I love it.
I named Bullwinkle after my wife. My wife was like the epicenter of goofy. I mean, this woman was, I wouldn't go shopping with her. I mean, she was, so anyway, and she had a really a fetish for stuffed moose. The woman loved mooses. So when I bought the bike, I thought, the woman's goofier than hell, and she loves moose, so Bullwinkle. So
nice.
So
I love it.
And someday when I get enough money, I'm going to have Bullwinkle painted on the side of the tank, have Natasha painted lettering on the back, and then I'll get a tattoo on my arm for Rocky, and we'll have the whole crew.
Do you have any other tattoos?
I got a couple drunken mistake ones, yeah.
I just had to ask, being a pastor at all, I'm like, because I'm covered in tattoos, but you meet people from there in the church, and they're like, oh, tattoos, you're going to hell. And I'm like, yeah, good. I'm driving the bus there. I'll see you there too.
Yeah. I've got the ponytail and stuff before too, and I just look at it and say, well, if my going to heaven depends on my appearance.
You can't have a ponytail?
According to some religious fanatics, you can't, man. There's a lot of Pharisees out there,
and there's others. You're not allowed to dance. You're not allowed to a whole bunch of stuff. It's interesting how it goes.
Is depression a big issue with pastors?
Oh man, Ooh. I'll tell you what. I had this church that I co-pastored with. My wife worked for the county, so I had my insurance, my health insurance through her. But the guy we co-pastored with, we paid for his insurance, and it's like over $3,000 a month for his health insurance. Pastors are like the most expensive people to insure in the country, man. It's because the stress level is so high. When you've got 300 to 400 people, there's always some in crisis, life and death situations, man. I mean, it's a load to carry, man. It is really a load. People don't have a clue what we go through. I mean, we have to learn to like not allow ourselves to get really so tight into it that it takes us down. But that's hard, man. When you got somebody you love that's going through the crap, man, it's tough. I always had compassion and sympathy for people, but when I went through what I went through, I gained another aspect, the empathy side of things, man. And now it's a whole different story, man. The load that you carry, and especially when you sit down with someone who's gone through what you've been through yourself, you relate on such a level you can't even begin to imagine unless you've been there yourself. And it's hard, man. I'm telling you, it's freaking hard. I have insomnia anyway. I get like 3 hours sleep, if that, a night. And it's just the stress. I mean, because you can't get these people's faces out of your mind. You know, last year I dealt with 16 suicides because of this crappy scamdemic thing that's going on. You know, the social distancing, all that crap. Man, we're sentient beings. We need communication. We need connection with other human beings. We need that intimacy, you know, and everything that the government's mandating is coming against that, man. You wear a mask, that steals your identity. Stay 6 feet away. We don't touch, you know, we don't handshake anymore. I mean, it's destroying people's lives, man. I mean, 16 suicides because of this stuff, and 5 of them were teenagers, man. This is a tough load to carry. But it is. What breaks my heart the most is I'm just a guy. I got nothing, man. I don't even have a home or nothing. And these people that reach out to me, it breaks my heart because I don't feel like they have anybody else that they can go to, you know. And it's just heartbreaking that the church isn't doing what she should be doing, man. I mean, it just blows my mind. And it's so easy just to love people, man, where they're at. It's so easy to do. I mean,
it's showing.
It really is. You know, the problem with the church is the church's own problem, because in Ephesians, Paul said, you know, I gave these gifts to the church: the apostle, the prophet, the evangelist, the pastor, and the teacher, to train and equip the people to do the work of the ministry. But preachers are too afraid to let people do the work of the ministry because they might screw up, they might make a mess, and they might make it. And I'm like, really? I mean, King Solomon said, look, when you got oxen in the stall, you're going to have shit in the drop, and you're going to have to clean it up. And that, man, when you get people that need to learn how to minister, you've got to let them minister, and you've got to let them screw up. And you got to let those screw up moments be teaching moments, so you can get these people to be able to use the gifts God's given them. But when you don't allow them to use it, it puts more stress on them. The first time I went to Israel, I went down to we left Galilee and we're going down the Jordan River, and it was like incredible life, man. The fish, the green on both sides, and then you get down to the Dead Sea. And I remember standing there looking at the Dead Sea, and I mean, it is dead. And I was like, God, how can all that life coming into it, how can this not have life?
Right.
Like, there's no outflow. All of that life goes in there, and then it just stagnates in it. And that's what we have in the church. We have all these people who have all this, some great teaching and stuff in them, but they don't have any place to let it out because pastors think it's their church. It ain't their church. They're the shepherds, but it ain't their church. It's God's church, and he wants his people to be doing the stuff, but they're afraid to let them do the stuff, man. And so here we are, people like me going out there trying to do what we can do. Most of my time spent in bars and stuff, smoking a cigar or whatever, having a drink with people and having them open up. I mean, the gospel's needed, man.
Bob, I am so honored you're going to be.
Your mic is not off or something's not happening. I don't know what the hell.
Is this better? Can you hear me? I wonder if it's the wind outside.
Sound, brother. I don't know what the hell's going on.
Gavin, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine. Can you hear me, Bob?
Oh, hell.
Look at that. Right up his nose. Loved it.
Right. And then he's like, you know what? I'm tired of these two. Boop. I'm done. That's okay. Guys, Bob is going to be a regular with us. He's coming on every Friday to do a whole, he's going to be talking with us. He's going to be taking positivity and, he's back.
He's back. There we go.
I don't know what happened. Everything just went dead, man.
No, you're good. Right. Bob, I was just saying how absolutely honored we are that you get to we're going to get to have you on every week. We're going to have you on every Friday. Oh, you have been, I have to be honest. I want to introduce you to our guest really quick who's coming on next. Okay. I'll do a quick introduction, and I only say that because she has been in everything. I have her website up in my background. She has been on TV. She has been on podcasts all over the world. Her name is Dr. Lynda, and she has done so many positive, uplifting things. And she's in the background listening to you going, he is amazing. So I want to introduce Dr. Lynda to Bob Seymour. And then, Bob, we're going to take off and go talk to her for a little bit. But I want you two to say hi because she looks like she's ready to meet you.
All right.
Dr. Lynda, how are you?
Hello.
Hi, Doc.
I started tuning into this. I missed the first 15 minutes, but I started tuning in about 10:15 just to get a feel for what you guys are doing. And I've got a page worth of notes.
I love it.
Wonderful.
The only thing I can do, Doc, is talk, man. My body's a mess. I can ride a motorcycle and I can talk.
Yeah, well, you're talking some clarity. You're talking some clarity, Bob. You're talking some clarity.
So, Bob, you missed the first part, Dr. Lynda. The first half was about first 15 minutes. Bob and us were telling a story about do you know what holiday is today?
No.
So we're celebrating. It is No Pants Day. None of us are wearing. Yep.
No.
Where's your sense
I
of
did
adventure,
not know
girl?
that. I did not know that. Oh.
So what's fun about that is it's a holiday that's meant to bring clothing. So everybody has pants, everybody has this, but the homeless don't. And it's a way of saying, look, through this pandemic and through this, take your gently used clothes and give it back. You could go a day working from home with no pants on. So we wanted to make sure we celebrated. Cartoon strips all over the world have no pants on today. We asked Bob about it, and he opens up with this amazing story about being on the road, and he talked to this guy, a homeless guy, and he's giving him food and everything. And he goes, if there's anything I can do for you, let me know what it is. And Bob, you gave him what?
couple pair of clean socks was all the boy wanted, man. So I gave him some clean socks.
It's living people like Bob that are the reason I absolutely love what I do. It's to meet people like him. It's to see that positivity coming out and keep doing it. So Bob, I look so forward to wherever you are next Friday, spreading this positive message and keeping this growing, because truthfully, Bob, you lit a fire in us, where even Dr. Lynda in the back, she was sitting there going, yup. She was like, she was laughing and having fun. I was loving it. So, Bob, thank you so much for today, and I look forward to seeing you next Friday, my friend.
Well, God bless, man. It's been a pleasure being here. I look forward to seeing you and Gavin next week too, brother.
Thank you, sir.
See you, man. Take care.
Have a good one,
Lynda.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
I didn't get to give you the normal intro that I would do, where I'd read your bio and all that, but I saw you having fun with him in the back and loving what he was doing, and I just had to get you guys in here together to get that positivity together. So, Dr. Lynda, I'll read your bio now just so that way everybody knows. You've done TED Talks. You've done the Ultimate Kind Connector from You See a Possibility Everywhere, and is an expert in fitting seemingly stray parts together. You insist on sharpening by life as a global traveler, an exponential artist, and early adapter of technology. Ooh, that's a good one I'm going to have a question on. Dr. Lynda has devoted her professional life to finding inspiring ways to keep humanity in healthcare. And now she is speaking thought through leaders around the world every week who are making the world a better place in astonishing ways. Her gifts is synthesizing their genius into narratives, ideas, connections that can change and share our future. Oh my gosh, I am so excited to meet you. Dr. Lynda, everybody, let's give her a hello and say hello. Thank you so much for being here. You're already getting hellos. I see somebody wrote hello on I see my other screen showed it. It'll show here in a second. So you've done a lot of things. I want to first start off with your TED Talk X. Tell me about that.
That's going to be my question.
I stole it.
Yeah, you did.
All right, where do I even start? What is your first your doctorate is in?
I've actually been a dentist for 25 years.
Really?
Yes.
So, now, do you still Sorry, Gavin and I were texting about the dentist yesterday. So you said it, and I'm like, oh, that's funny.
Well, I have a lot of dental work that I need done. I don't have my adult canines in yet. I've actually just made I just went to the orthodontist, and I'm about to have some work done to finally get them brought down and put into place. It's going to take about 2 years to get that all done. But that's the one thing I'm very self-conscious about. I worked very hard the past couple months to get my teeth very, very white, and now all I can notice is how messed up they are.
We're going to talk about what we give our attention to eventually in this conversation.
I love it.
Good.
I told him I'm gonna just move Gavin to England because his teeth are gonna be perfect there.
Listen, you have a lovely way that you push this goodness out. I've been watching you for 45 minutes. I know that people will, maybe the people that find any flaws, Gavin, are not the people we need to care about anyway.
Oh, no, it's just me being self-conscious about myself.
I know.
Every time that we're self-conscious about something, it's always, we're self-conscious that they will notice it. But they is just, there's not really a they. You know, you look in public and you're all like, oh, it's not any of these people, but they're out there somewhere. They're there and they're judging me. But it's like, who really is that?
Yeah, who is that?
Nobody cares. Yeah.
So, Dr. Lynda, you focus on the Positive Global Media Company. You're one of the main ones there. How did this become a thing, and what inspired you to do that? You were a dentist, you said. So, what switched that for you? Actually, that's kind of funny because with the pastor we just had on, and we talked about suicide rates. I know dentistry has a very high stress suicide rate. And then you switch it and you're like, I'm doing positivity. And how did this come about? How did you get into doing this?
I'm going to give you the bullet point sort of history, because we all are whatever our experiences led us to be today. I mean, this is how we are. I don't believe people, randomly make bad choices. It's just that you do the best you can at the moment, and that leads you to this. So here's how I got here. My husband and I are childhood sweethearts in a little farming town in Illinois. And that's relevant because we grew up, where the corn and soybean just stretched out for miles, and life was a game of chutes and ladders. We had no rules. You just had to show up when the porch light went back on. And our world would have been fairly small. But then he was one of the top 20 basketball players in the world. And he became the captain at the University of Kentucky, when the University of Kentucky was the premier basketball program of all basketball programs. And that led us out into the world, into the wider world. He was drafted by the Bulls, but we knew what that world was looking like. And there was a lot of drugs. The professional basketball back then was not what it is now. And so for the same amount of money, we could go to Spain and he could play there and we could have this adventure. So that's what we did. And that began this life out in the wider world, knowing that there was so much more than what we'd lived so far. Eventually, we got Irish citizenship, so we carried 2 passports, and then we began our life out in the world. We practiced dentistry in Italy for a while. After we became dentists, we started traveling the world with our kids as soon as they could pull their own backpack, which is about age 5. Okay, they've slept on plywood in Tibet, and I'm not talking about resort world travel. This is hard places in the world.
Actual world travel.
Yeah, we were doing things for philanthropic reasons and going to places that were very challenging all their lives. And you know what? My kids saw that human beings are so darn generous. They saw the ingenuity of people in bleak places. They saw, I got goosebumps just saying these words. Who we are is not who we see on social media and the evening news. Who we are in human beings is Bob. That's who we are.
Right. We are. Bob is he's still in the background. Bob is still in the background. He's sitting there and he's listening. And I love when we say his name because he goes like this every time.
Okay. And we are all those people that have helped Bob. That's who we are. And so what happened was I started seeing a sense, my husband and I, as you might imagine, just from knowing me these last few minutes, we have a very relationship-oriented practice. We love people. And we fought like heck to keep the humanity in healthcare, to spend time with people. We weren't on roller coasters. We organized our business so that we could spend more time with people rather than the way healthcare is going, and the doctors spend less and less. We spend more and more. So here's what happened. In about 2011, 12, 13, the negative news was already starting to eat away at our future, our ability to look at the future as a whole as positive. I started noticing that patients who had otherwise known as hopeful and cheerful, they were starting to have these downward spiral conversations with me, and I got very worried. So every time I'd have one with people I'd known as otherwise cheerful, I'd say to myself, gosh, somebody's got to do something about this. This negative news is out of control. It's making us have a sense of future fatalism, even the best. So I did that over and over again. Somebody's got to do something about this.
Yes.
Until one day I got an email from a young man from a foxhole in a very bleak place in the world who I'd known since he was a toddler. And he thought to write me when he was at the worst stage, where he was thinking the world was going to hell in a handbasket and there was nothing good he was hearing from home, and certainly nothing good around him there in the foxhole. And he thought to write me. And, I had made a point to find something to celebrate in every single patient's lives through my whole professional career. And I didn't take that email lightly. That was so huge to me. So I went on a search of the internet to find some place I could refer him for signs of inspiration and insight and innovation that anyone could appreciate, even if they're no matter their politics, no matter their generation or culture. And that was the challenge.
Oh, because sure.
After 3 weeks of searching, every place I found that called themselves good news was one of two things. It was either a lot of puppies in mailboxes sort of stories that would make you feel better instantaneously, but certainly not for Cameron. And they had an incredible political agenda. And we were already getting into this division thing back in 2013. So when I finally one day I just snapped. When I found no place that I could send him, I said, "That's it." And I'm a well-read person, and I know a lot about science and technology. I'm kind of a geek that way. So I started writing one article every day to prove that it was still an amazing world. I found a local web developer who threw me together a nice passion project website. And then the real tipping point came. I have a daughter who graduated from Harvard. And she could have worked for anyone in the world because she had this international background and the 2 passports and had been everywhere. And she sat me down. You know, when your 22-year-old sits you down for a talk, it's got to be something bad or really good, one of the two.
Right.
And she said, "Mom, if you'll build a real website and turn this from your nice little passion project to something real, I'll join you and we will change the future. We will change the negative dialogue about our times, because there is so much good going on in the world and no one will ever know it unless somebody shows up and starts pointing to it."
I absolutely love that. Like, that's exactly, yours is a different story, but that's what Gavin and I are like. We're like sitting here saying there's so much negativity. I'd rather start the day giving you a good direction and help you start it with positive things, because the same thing, when we started looking up positive articles, you could literally write the word positive news and you'll find articles that haven't been updated in websites for like a year.
Yeah.
What? Who's not being positive during a lockdown? Like everybody's already in this like bubble of negativity, and changing that is so essential today. Yes. And I love that that's your mentality. All right, so I asked a question in the thing. Have you noticed that people's actions have even changed during COVID? Have you noticed people, because we talked about this with Bob a little bit, the actions of people seem to be, they're blocked more. They have their mask on so they feel more secure in themselves to just not be as polite, not hold as doors, not be people, not be humans. Have you noticed things like that? And then how do you, when in public, reverse that so you could show the positivity?
You know, I know this is going to sound really out there, but I notice exactly the opposite.
Oh, talk to me.
Yeah, I noticed that people are not expecting the level of perfection from others that we used to. Most people know that everybody's carrying some kind of burden. Now, I'm not talking about everybody, but this proves my point. So I talk a lot about the way our brain is built, because we can't understand others and we really can't understand ourselves unless we understand how we're all hardwired. Yeah. So millions of years ago, the most important part of our brain was this part called the amygdala. And we've all heard the term fight or flight, right?
Yes.
The amygdala is that part of our brain. Some people call it the lizard brain. It's so old. Yes. And it's on guard 24/7 every day. Every one of us, you can't escape your amygdala. No matter how, Mother Teresa, her amygdala was on. And it was going like this, looking for signs of danger and disorder. In fact, if you're here listening to this, it's because your ancestors were really good at listening for signs of danger and disorder. And so this part of our brain is still in charge. When we're on autopilot, when we're not thinking about what we're thinking about, it's our amygdala that's driving for us. And this is a problem, of course. This is why contempt that we might have leads to outrage so fast on social media. right? You go from 0 to 100, just like that, because most of us are going on the internet on autopilot. Yeah. And if you're not thinking about what you're thinking about, and I like to say something we referred to earlier, if you're not choosing what to give your attention to, you're going to pay attention to signs of danger and disorder. And so when you ask me what I see in the pandemic, I'm so now hyper aware, because I do practice what I preach. I've really found, and it's like a muscle. It's not something that happens overnight. But if you go around constantly looking for signs that the world is still an amazing place and people are basically good, you're going to find them, because they're out there. That is who we really are. But if we live in fear, or we're on autopilot, or we have a lot of incoming that's telling us a different story, here's the thing, Brandon and Gavin, it's time for us to start curating our incoming.
Talk about that. Run with it.
Yeah. Okay. So I have my own podcast, the Conspiracy of Goodness podcast.
Keep talking. I'm going to bring it up while you talk.
All right. And so so I've been talking to thought leaders that we write about at Ever Widening Circles. I've been talking to them for 7 years. And I never thought to start recording those conversations. So that's very funny in itself. So this is my media page on the Dr. Lynda site. And these are all the podcasts I've been on and all the news media I've been on. But yeah, these are wonderful, amazing people. I think that you guys probably noticed this. Podcasters make good guests because they sort of know how to get to the answer. And then, so if I'm talking too much on things, don't hesitate to say,
"Oh, okay, you're fine. Keep going."
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So this is the Ever Widening Circles universe. There's the main website that you see there, that Brandon's got up, and then we have this gorgeous app that's only $1 a month. It has to pay for itself, but we wanted it to be affordable to a world of people who make, $2 a day, because this is a global effort. So the app is beautiful. It's like having the antidote to the daily news in the palm of your hand. And I tell people, when you get a dose of breaking news, don't hit that button. Hit this button. Hit the blue button instead, and find out about some amazing thing that's going on in the world. So if you scroll down, then those are the two motherships. And the next part of that page is this thing that we're calling the Conspiracy of Goodness, which is what you are pointing to. You guys are part of the Conspiracy of Goodness. Bob is part of the Conspiracy of Goodness. It's this enormous wave of goodness and progress that's happening in the world that almost no one knows about, because it's not rising to the top of our awareness with the way the internet and news is constructed. And so there's my TED Talks, and there's a public speaking site. I do a lot of public speaking to groups. And then at the bottom of that page, we have a free website for education that we just haven't had time to promote. So there's just so much going on.
And I love this. I love all of this. I'm downloading the app on my cell phone as we speak.
Yeah, it's an amazing way to counter what's going on and rising to the top of the internet, because and that's what my TED Talk is about. The TED Talk in 12 minutes, called Exposing the Conspiracy of Goodness, will give you all the tools you need to start seeing the other side of the story about humanity and the world around us. I learned, now I didn't know any of this. Remember, I'm coming at this project as an ordinary web user in 2013. And my gosh, what I've been through in 7 years to try and earn the title Global Positive Media Mogul is what they called me for the TEDx. But when I look at all the work my daughter and I have done, I can't argue. We've tried so hard to elevate a different picture of ourselves and the world around us there. So the Conspiracy of Goodness is this enormous wave, which you guys recognize. So I love people like you. I call you co-conspirators in the Conspiracy of Goodness, because what you're trying to do is elevate a tide. And you know how a rising tide is. It elevates all the boats in the harbor.
Yeah.
Whether people are on board with us, or whether they know you or I exist, or Bob exists, if we get enough of this exposure to what's good that's in the world happening, all the boats in the harbor rise up.
Correct.
In fact, I think there's a new social contract coming. And I think it's going to be about whether someone's thoughtful and helpful.
Ooh, yeah.
I don't see us supporting people on social media who are ratcheting up the drama.
Mm-hmm.
We're just not. And it doesn't even matter if they're on our team.
True.
Yeah.
I'm finding myself, some people that I used to follow politically or whatever, I'm just putting my fingers in my ears now because I can't take any more drama, especially when it's undeserved, for all the good that people like. Do you have any trouble finding guests for your show?
Us?
Yes?
No.
Neither do I.
We're booked up through June, and
Yes.
we actually have Gavin does another show, and I do another show. His is music, mine's mental health, and we have a line waiting, and the guests keep getting bigger and bigger, and they're like reaching out, and because we are, like you said, the positivity, it's putting that out there, and when we have a guest that maybe is not in their best mindset, we all help each other get to. Are you drinking wine already? Because I'm jealous.
Water. I made a promise to myself, starting tomorrow, I would drink water at 11 a.m. instead of decaf coffee.
I love it. They're going to say instead of wine.
No. Back in 2013, it was getting there. We think things got really bad in the last few years, but it was already starting to look ugly back in 2013-14 when I started Ever Widening Circles.
Yep.
And so one of the things that I talk to people about is, what we give our attention to expands.
True. Can you elaborate on that? Like, give us an analogy in life that you've experienced this, because I know you've had this conversation many times, and that's something that a lot of people don't understand. It's like when you start that and the way you talk about it, the way you talk about yourself, how does that influence it? Like, tell us.
Okay. Here's a good example.
Build the best, Brandon.
Okay. So I come from this farm in Illinois. My dad was a type A, intense guy, lovely, very good. He was a physician. You had his home phone. He did house calls. He sat with you no matter when it was in your last hours. He was amazing like that. But we never saw him. And so that's how come I became a dentist, because I wanted that life and connection with others, but I wanted to see my children. Yeah. So in any case, we have this family farm. He dies and he leaves it to my brother, sister, and I. Now, my brother's a former F-15 fighter pilot. So you can imagine what kind of a personality style he is. My sister's very intense type A too, and then here am I. So on the family farm, what we give our attention to expands. The same in your household, the same in my business at Fiddlehead Dental, and so forth. So here's an example. My brother's very, very intense, and he's not as positive as me. He's very much more cautious. So he always looks at what bad thing could happen.
Yeah.
It drives me completely crazy. But I get to choose whether to focus on how I think about him, or how he affects my day, or that mean thing he said in a text. I get to decide how much to give that, how much of myself and my emotion and that day's thought, how much conversation I give it when I'm drinking a glass of wine at the end of the day with my husband. I get to decide.
Yeah.
And so here's what I do. I'll share a little practical tip. I'm hoping that I can sprinkle in practical tips. So when we're dealing with family members who are very hard to exclude from our circles, I mean, you're stuck with them. I share this farm. We got to make decisions and all that stuff. So I can't just say, oh, he's not for me. I got to figure out a way. When he does something that strikes me, or says something on a text that strikes me badly, I might decide to give a few minutes to some very pointed text right back, but I don't hit send.
Yeah.
I apply the 24-hour rule to every single thing I use my fingers to create in this world. This is just a really good way to think about it. Because if I were sitting across from my brother and we were having some disagreement, I could see his body language. I could see that maybe he was sad or that he was whatever. There would be so much more to the story for those 3 sentences he just said, but not in the text world, not in social media, not what, right? Yep. So if I wait 24 hours before I hit send, I have literally never hit send. Because the next day I have an entirely different perspective. Maybe he's said something nice. Maybe he phoned me and told me that his wife just was diagnosed with breast cancer. That actually happened.
Yeah.
And that's something that you don't see coming, that you didn't know about. That's an anxiety that maybe he sent that text in his own. I love how you're phrasing this. Go on.
Yes. Yeah. So just remember that every single one of us is carrying a burden.
Yes.
And some people carry their burdens better than others.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this is just something we have to Bob said it. Everybody's life is crap. Most of the time, our families are complex and, you know, our jobs are challenging, and then throw a pandemic on top of that. And then if you have no personal philosophy to fall back on, like Bob obviously has Christianity that he can keep refreshing his perspective from, but a lot of people don't have a philosophical background. So I just say, just use the 24-hour rule on every single thing you create with your fingers. And then reread that thing tomorrow, that social media post that you just typed in to respond to something hateful, and most of the time you're going to not press send the next day. Because I don't know about you guys, but my first thoughts are not that good.
No, and
my second and third thoughts usually aren't that good. That's why I keep them to myself. Yes. Yeah, anytime that I'm in, like, I'm 21 years old and engaged, and anybody who is very young and in a very serious relationship will tell you it's not perfect. It's not going to be perfect. You know, we've had our first argument, we've had our second and third one, but every time I always keep in mind, don't curse and don't raise my voice. And if I feel that things are escalating, if they're starting to get out of hand, then I say we need to take a break, and I go for a walk, or she goes for a walk, or we go to separate rooms, and then we come back to it later. And it makes the conversations last a lot longer, and they were uncomfortable for a lot longer, but it also allows us to recuperate and stay fresh every time we go into it. So we are being progressive with our conversations. We are coming to healthy conclusions with clearer mind states than just that initial lizard brain fight or flight, either run away or take shots and try to put your opponent down, because that's what happens in a lot of arguments. I can't say how many times I've seen family members or close friends or complete strangers, when they're in arguments, by the end of it, they're not even arguing what they're arguing about. They're just taking personal shots at each other, trying to put the other person down so that way they can feel like they've won something. They're not even talking about what the conversation started at. It's no longer, I'm upset. Our first argument was she would throw out my coffee because I would let it sit in a coffee pot and then microwave it the next day. And she said that that's gross. My grandmother's done it her whole life. My mother's done it her whole life. I do it. It doesn't bother me. I caught her throwing my coffee out one day, and I was just bewildered by this. Like, I was dumbfounded the fact that she was doing this. And so this example I'm using, like, it starts out with a lot of people. It starts out as stop throwing out my coffee, stop drinking old coffee. But then for a lot of people, it ends as things like, this is why you don't have friends, or this is why, like, and it's like, whoa, back up. Why are you talking about this right now? Why are you screaming? Why are you cursing? This has nothing to do with what we're talking about. I just want to drink my damn coffee. I just want you to be healthy.
Yes.
And thankfully we haven't gotten to that point. Cause like I said, we walk away before it gets to that, but I've just seen that so many times. It's ridiculous. And one of the points I've been like waiting to come around to as well is, so there's only been a handful of people that have had the privilege to be able to go to the moon and see the entire world. However, for regular people like myself, Brandon, you, we can't see the whole world by traveling through it. And with that, there comes all these lessons that we've been able to learn. That makes me really curious. What is the change that you've seen in your children's development versus other people's children, just based on the fact that they have been able to travel around the world? Have they been able to communicate? How's their communication skills developed? How's their social skills developed? Their compassion for other humans?
So the more you know about the world and other people's lives, the more your own priorities shift. Like my kids, I remember one time we were lost in the Andes and we almost had to sleep in our car that night. And those kids hadn't eaten for 21 hours. And we had no whiners. That was the day I realized that getting a perspective about how other people live will shape your own. I mean, my kids have been to places where people don't eat regularly, and that they don't have any advocates and they don't have parents, and God knows what's going on. And I don't think you have to travel the way the internet works. So this is one of my big things. The internet should be the greatest tool for human progress that could have come along. Because it would allow us to know these things that I'm saying, that other people have remarkable generosity, even in bleak places, that there is so much wonder in human ingenuity, blah, blah, blah. So we don't have to travel to get that, but my kids did get that. They don't have to have everything. I've got my middle daughter. I literally have never gone shopping with her. She is happy to just have clothes that come from a thrift store. She just doesn't care. None of my kids care about clothes, really. These things that where we're confusing wants and needs. I think my kids have a lot more clarity about what they need versus what they want.
Ooh.
It sounds almost more like a cheaper investment to take your kids around the world rather than keep them at home and take them shopping all the damn time.
I never thought about that.
Yeah, it's like, hey, I can get you the newest phone and the nicest clothes, or we can go to a third world country in Africa for a month.
Yeah, it's so funny. Yeah. They used to always ask when they were really little, they'd say, "Mom, is this going to be an eating trip or a not eating trip?" This is how they kind of.
You killed Gavin. I hope you're ready to be my new guest host.
I'm okay.
Yes, that's how like if we would go someplace that was not really, really, really impoverished, they knew they were going to be able to eat regularly. But if we were going someplace that was that things were rough, they would just get a mindset. They were good about it. But they would just have a mindset that this was not going to be an eating trip.
I like that.
Yes.
In my mind, I thought to myself, like, Mom, are we doing rice and beans or photosynthesis?
Okay, so we did go to a place where they all learned to eat rice and beans, and I had never cooked that before. And for day after day, 3 meals a day, that's what they got, and now they love it. But
I love rice and beans.
Yeah,
I had that for lunch yesterday.
Yeah, I took a trip to Belize a couple years ago, and every meal that we had, it was rice and beans with some kind of protein, usually like goat or chicken or something like that, and then whatever fruits or veggies they had in the garden.
Yeah,
that's what we ate. It was wonderful. It was so great.
Yeah, so I think that here's something I'd like to offer folks as far as another practical tip.
Yeah.
So I have these 4 shifts that I teach people if they want to see the rest of the story that we're not seeing. Because here's the fundamental thing. What we see on the internet is only a slice of reality. That's what my experience has taught me. People always ask us, where do you get all these ideas, where do you get all this insight and innovation that you write about in Ever Widening Circles? And we have tuned our algorithms, the 9 of us on our team, so that I don't see the world that everybody tells me exists on social media. I do not see it. I'm absolutely rigorous about how I use the internet. So I'll give you them very, very quickly. And if people go to, we've created a very nice website so you can learn about this a little bit more, called 4shifts.com. So here's the 4 shifts that you need to do to see a different world in the screens in your life. And it takes a little while for your algorithm to learn that you've changed what you're going to click on, but here are the 4 shifts. First, pause before you click on anything, because someone is counting every click you make. Your click is a vote. It just is. I mean, we can lament about what's gone wrong with the internet, which I'll tell you a little bit about in a minute, because I don't believe we got here because of a bunch of evil geniuses trying to control our minds. It's an accident of fate. But the 4 shifts are: pause before you click on anything. Your click is a vote. And if you think about it like that, like what you click on, you will get more of. So for instance, the blobfish, I'm as curious about that picture of an anaconda with a human form in it. I'm as curious as anybody else about that. Or the blobfish, or the headline, "Death Ship Docked in Miami," whatever. But I will not give my attention to that. Ever, no matter how curious I am, some celebrity, what she looks like now. No, nothing. Yeah. I never do that. Okay. So I pause before I click. I'm not on the internet in autopilot. Ooh. They're very, very consciously choosing what I give my attention to. And this doesn't take a lot of energy. It becomes second nature after you start feeling the rewards of it. Okay. So pause. Second one is ignore more. Because we can ignore things into obscurity. This is the way the internet works now, is what rises to the top is what we are giving our attention to. So whether it's mean folks on social media, or crazy divisive politics, or the nightly news over and over and over again telling us about some natural disaster, if we give our attention to it, the algorithms will think that that's what we want to see more of. And every time we do a Google search, that's what an algorithm is. It's a shortcut. It started with a good intention, but okay. So ignore more, because here's my little rule of thumb. I never click out of anger, boredom, or morbid curiosity. So I tell people, ignore more, never click in ABC mode. Never out of anger, boredom, or random kind of, that morbid kind of curiosity. I'm all for curiosity, but ABC, just don't click like that. And I'm guessing that most people would stop clicking on about 80% of what they used to click on. Mm-hmm. That's how much, is on the internet.
Yeah.
Just dangling out there, waiting to trigger our amygdala. Because remember, if we're on the internet, on autopilot, our amygdala, our lizard brain, looking for signs of danger and disorder, is driving.
Yeah.
It's going to determine what we click on. So when you're sitting at lunch doing this click, 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 scroll, 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 click, scroll, 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 click, you know what you're clicking on for a millisecond? Whatever got the attention of your lizard brain. Yeah. And so those things get more and more what I call link juice. What I've learned about the internet is that what we click on gets more and more link juice, and that's what rises to the top. So projects like mine, projects like yours, projects like the Rainforest Connection, this guy we've written about who has the solution to saving all the remaining rainforests in the world, unless we're willing to play the game, we won't rise to the top in people's Google search. Huh. So this is a problem. Okay, so pause, ignore more. And the third one is seek signs of goodness and progress. Seek it. There's a great website called TechCrunch. There's the NASA website is fabulous. The Smithsonian website is full of so much wonder, it's just bubbling over. And there's Ever Widening Circles. You can find places on the internet that keep to the middle of the road politically, and report things out that we need to know, but that are signs of progress. And so if you seek signs of goodness and progress, and guess what? That's your brother. That's your mother-in-law. That seek signs of goodness and progress. That's your teenager. If you got a teenager that's always in trouble, could it be part of the equation that all you're doing is looking for signs of danger and disorder in his behavior? Yeah. Whereas you're not looking for signs of hope and progress and understanding or responsibility or all the things we wish. Like, what do we give our attention to? Do our kids hear enough from us when they do something positive or right? Yeah. So pause, ignore more, seek signs of goodness and progress, and share it. what we share is what content creators care about. A like means almost nothing anymore. I'm sure you guys realize that just as I do. Now 8 years ago, it used to mean a lot. If you got 1,000 likes on something, it was a big deal. But now it's really shifted to what we share is what content creators will produce more of. Mm-hmm. Nobody's producing any content that doesn't get shared. That's what content creators are looking for. So if we would all share signs of goodness and progress, that would become the organizing principle of the internet.
Yep.
And so those are the 4 shifts. If you want to understand more, go to 4shifts.com. You can either spell out the word 4 or write the number 4shifts.com. And it's a 10-minute read, but it'll give you a lot more information about little tips and tricks. And it's something you could share with someone else who you know needs a refresh. Because this is the problem of our times, is we're believing this negative dialogue about each other. Mm-hmm. And we've got people that are not coping. We all know somebody who is just knuckle dragging about what's possible for the future for us all. And that is a dangerous state of mind right now.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm writing your website in there.
Do you ever try, I believe that this would play into the ignore section, actually. Do you ever try the post and drop method?
Mm-mm.
Where?
No, tell me about that.
So the post and drop is, it actually has to deal with negativity on your own pages. Because once you do become very popular, it's inevitable that you will start to have people who are trolls and they post negative things, comments and whatnot. If you're talking about controversial topics or anything like that, you'll end up getting people who are angry at you about it. The post and drop is where you post something and then you drop your phone, you drop your internet, you stop, you stay off for 24 hours and you just let it do its thing. You just let it take its course. And this, what it does, it prevents people from having to stress out about what they're posting and how people are reacting to it. It helps get rid of that anxiety of, oh, how many people are liking it or commenting or sharing it right now. It's trying to get away from the things of, like, let's say that you posted something about some economic thing that was controversial right now.
Right.
Then you would post about it and then drop your phone, because people are going to argue in the comments and things like that. They're going to give their own opinions. You're not there to be a part of that. You're there just to sort out what you say and what you think about it and then move on to the next part of your life.
Interesting. I love so many things about what you just said. I'm going to start with that very last sentence. Yeah. So you guys are young, but lots and lots of people who are fretting about our online lives right now remember a time when we lived our lives.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we did. We didn't have the internet. We didn't have to constantly be shepherding a device in our pocket. We lived our lives. And that's one of the pieces of big advice I give people about their online lives. First, let me start really high level. So the internet is like every other human innovation. There's nothing special about the internet. It's just like the cotton gin and the steam engine and the printing press. Every human construct has had a reimagining after about 20, 25 years. Because we found out it was doing more bad than good, or because it was time to reimagine what it could do for us, what it's not doing for us now, and what it could. And so the internet is just like that. So here's what I tell people. I tell people the internet should be a tool in our lives. But we have to remember that, like a hammer, it can be used to build or demolish.
Yeah.
It's just like a hammer. We can build things with it, build relationships, build culture, build projects that make the world a better place, or we can demolish our relationships if we use the internet wrong. We can allow it to demolish our sense of self-confidence. Social media is just comparison without context.
Mm-hmm.
If you go to social media, I was talking to a thought leader on my podcast the other day, Julia Parsak. She has this whole project around body image, and she's just had it with being compared to the Twiggies of the world. She's not having it. And because she doesn't come from people genetically who could ever look like that.
Yeah.
She comes from people that needed to have a scarcity gene, like save up all the calories when you can because you might not eat for another 2 weeks. So we're going to have different body types. I'm that body type. Okay, so she says, go to your social media, and if you see a bunch of people that make you kind of feel like you've had a punch in the stomach, unfollow.
Yeah.
Unfollow. Social media is comparison without context. You don't know that person eats every 2 days to keep looking at like that.
Yeah.
You don't know that their teeth are all rotten in the back because they're vomiting after every bag of Cheetos they eat. You just have no context for the things that people are putting out there on their social media in that square box. Yep. So why allow it to ruin our perspective about the world and ourselves?
Yeah. I love that. Very well said. With that being said, how does somebody put that boundary up for themselves? Like I love the way you said, oh, getting punched in the stomach, if that's how you feel. Yeah. Sometimes it doesn't feel like that. It's one of those where like you don't even realize you're comparing yourself to somebody. I've done that, and then I've caught myself doing it. But how would you recommend when anybody's caught in that moment, if they're not feeling that punch in the stomach, but they could still notice it, keeping themselves going in the right direction?
Okay, here's what I think the new social contract could look like. We can still hear people say things that are hard to hear.
Yes.
If they say it thoughtfully and with an intention that they want to be helpful. I tell you, we human beings, we have antenna, and we had it 40,000 years ago, because let me tell you, back in the Stone Age, you had to really understand someone's intention. If you saw them on a hill and they weren't part of your group, there had to be all kinds of body language cues and facial expressions and all kinds of things that indicated their intention. Well, I think that we have an antenna for that on social media as well. So if you go to social media, you can tell what people's intention is. You know, what we celebrate defines us. And social media usually is celebrating. So if somebody celebrates Brittany Spaniels or Italian cooking or something like that, we can see that maybe we want to celebrate that too, or not. But if someone celebrates defeating their political opponents or getting the best of somebody else in a business transaction, or they use inflammatory emotional language, I think we have antennas. So I always ask myself before I engage anything on social media, is it thoughtful? Like, did somebody take time, like I talked about earlier? Did they just tap out their first thoughts? That's never going to be thoughtful.
No.
And is their addition to the internet helpful? Because you can have a hard conversation about any number of things that are in the news, which I don't want to go down any of those rabbit holes. But there are people saying things that can be helpful, and they can be hard to hear. But if they're said thoughtfully, we can think again. We can rethink our assumptions and improve our way of thinking. So that's it. I just look at something and I say, is this thoughtful and helpful? And if it's not, boom, I ignore it. I'm off. And I believe that we have antennas for that.
Absolutely. Do you think that it's possible to change your perspective? The one thing that you were talking about a minute ago was to unfollow people, which I do agree with. Unfollow things that make you upset, that make you sad. But is it possible to change your perspective to, instead of looking at that person who has something that you envy, instead of unfollowing them, use them as a motivation to want to start maybe changing your lifestyle, to change things about yourself? Maybe you have my hair was starting to get unhealthy for a bit. It was starting to get dry and thin, and I was actually worried that I was going to start balding. Nothing is wrong with being bald, Brandon. You're very handsome, bald. But I'm very self-conscious. I love my hair, and I don't know if I could pull it off. In all honesty, there's a lot of looks that I can pull off. I don't know if that's one of them. And I would look at people online who just have it, and in public too, has just really nice, beautiful hair, and instead of quitting and saying, I'm just going to shave it off and just not deal with it, I went to my barber and I asked him, hey, what can I do? I started looking online. Turns out I have an iron deficiency. I've known about this for years, never did anything about it. But while doing research, I found out that is part of the reason why I have hair that is starting to be brittle and frail. It's because of that. I also was washing it incorrectly. I'm not supposed to wash it as much as I do because it's curly. I did not know that. My mother has very, very full curly hair, but she's also a woman, so she puts all kinds of things in it to make it healthy. And my birth father, I don't really talk to him, and we never talked about hair when we did talk. So I never had anyone to teach me how to take care of my hair properly. So instead of pushing all these people away and just giving up, instead I changed my perspective to motivate myself to try to learn how to do this. What would you recommend for other people to do that as well, for things that they might be self-conscious about? All right, if they can control it. There are some things you just can't control.
Correct.
No, I think that what you're driving towards something that's really important is that when we because you went and you used the internet for a tool, you used it to understand, to seek knowledge. And when we're doing that, it's really important we consider agenda. When you go and you get information on the internet, you have to say, oh, that's interesting, because you just might as well have found what you wanted to hear. You were seeking signs of goodness and progress, and you found it. But when we get there, when we get to somebody validating what we wish, what we hope for, we also have to just take a reality check. What's their agenda?
Yeah.
Because if someone's agenda is to make money on hair products, let's say, in your particular case, right?
Yeah.
They're going to tell you exactly what you want to hear.
Yes.
And then they may or may not be able to actually come through with the promises they're making. So I really look at agenda when I'm doing exactly as you say. I don't unfollow people who say hard things as long as I'm clear on their agenda. If they're wanting to be helpful and thoughtful, this is it. They're what is the agenda? If they just want more power, if they just want more money, if they just want more followers, which is like a glamour number that I just can't even begin to go down that alley. I'm just looking at what people's agenda is, and if someone's agenda is to add to the goodness in the world, is to add to progress for everyone, is to add to the sustainability of ways of life, and sustainability of ways of life maybe have all kinds of ways. It doesn't have to have an environmental term. It's just like, can we sustain this? If we keep doing this, what are we going to get? And this is what I'm saying about the internet. If we keep using the internet as we have, it's not sustainable. We are at each other's throats. We are not using it as a tool. It is destroying culture. We have to start reimagining what's possible with this tool. I saw someone mention cyberbullying there. So cyberbullying, I get asked about cyberbullying a lot. And I know that was a really hot issue, but it still must be an issue that I'm unaware of because it comes up all the time. So here's my reaction. Okay, so I don't get cyberbullied because I choose so carefully what I give my attention to. So if someone were to right now write something callous or whatever in your chat, my brain is not looking for folks that are just picking a fight with nice people. I'm a nice person. I'm doing the best I can. I'm not right all the time, and I'm constantly improving, and I love a good, thoughtful person that points to improving my way of thinking. I love that. But when you're teenagers, you don't have that way of rising above. You're constantly comparing yourself to the world. So this issue of cyberbullying is where we really need to teach kids about internet hygiene. Okay, so I'm a dentist and people expect me to know about dental hygiene. Well, here's something I find very remarkable about the internet. In our state, in the state of Vermont, it's the law that you have to take keyboarding in high school. It may be in your state too, I'm not sure, but that astounds me that we would give kids the tools to tap away on the internet but none of the tools about how to tell that when somebody has an agenda.
Yeah.
Not any of the tools to know what to trust and what not to trust. Not any of the tools to make sure that this thing we created, the internet, is not ruining our lives. That's a problem. So cyberbullying, I would say, with my own kids, we just constantly preach to them that what you give your attention to expands.
I love that.
My mom used to tell me that all the time. If you ignore the bully, they want to get a reaction from somebody. That's what they want. And if you just ignore them, after a while, they'll move on to someone else because you're not giving them what they wanted, which was a fight.
Yep.
So that's
yeah, Dr. Lynda, you have been amazing. We actually have Bob still in the back. We're going to do our goodbyes now. And what we do differently with our show is we end every episode with a positive way of everybody finishing up their week to finishing their day. Gavin is going to go first. I pointed the wrong way. Gavin will go first. I will go next, and then we'll go Bob, and then Dr. Lynda, and you just give a great way of what you'd want everybody to know is like your motivation for the day. Gavin, show us how it's done.
Yeah. So the biggest thing that I've taken away from today is use the internet as a tool. Use it to learn about the things that you want to in life, whether it is focusing on your craft, your business, or some hobby. But put it down now and again. Go out, experience life. Be a Bob. Be a Bob. Go out there. Meet new people. Like I've said this before. It was actually a challenge. I'm not sure if anybody did it, but I'm going to challenge you again. Go to a town or a city that you've never been to alone. Spend a day there. Meet some of the townspeople. Go to the local bars. If you can, go to the park if there are people there. Just experience the life around you because you really never know what opportunities and what lessons you will learn just by simply putting yourself out there blindly.
I love that. I love that. Very well said, Gavin. Very well said. I think that Bob and Dr. Lynda will testify with what Gavin just said. Putting yourself out there, being vulnerable, being open, being raw. You will attract the energy you are putting out there. You will attract the people that you have put into your life that you are wanting. So if you want the best, if you want to set yourself out to go change the world, do yourself a favor and realize, oh, thank you. I love hearing that in the background.
I love that.
Thank you. It's my best drawing. And then I have the Ninja Turtles above me if you want to see those. But find your best you. Get your inner child out. Know who you are. Set the proper boundaries and don't let the bullies take control. Because the truth is, it's smarter to walk away. You're showing respect, kindness, and appreciation, and they're showing who they are. Be the change. Mr. Bob.
Hey. Well, all I can say has been just what the world is looking for is people that are real. Just go out there and be yourself. Be sensitive. You know, in the scooter world, we're always telling each other, keep your head on a swivel. I mean, you're watching, just be aware of your surroundings. If you see somebody that looks like they might be having a rough day, have the boldness and the courage to go up and say, hey, you doing all right, brother? You doing all right, sister? Just go out there and make yourself available and be who you are. Be happy in your own skin and try to help somebody else see themselves the way that God sees them, man. Because we're all together lovely, man. We're great people. We're out here to make a difference. Just be available and love people right where they are. Don't try to change them and don't change yourself. The people are just looking for real, man. So just go love somebody today. It's easy, man.
So thank you, Bob.
Yeah, hey, if anybody's interested, man, look me up on Facebook. I'm there. But just go to Bob Seymour and hook up, man.
And your avatar is Pepe Le Pew.
Yeah, because of that whole political correctness thing when they were saying, I thought, well, let's stir a turd here, man.
I love it. Dr. Lynda, you have been nothing but amazing. Give everybody that inspiration. I've already downloaded the app. I made Gavin download it. And as you saw, I've already signed up to get your newsletters. I love what you're doing. Keep changing the world with your daughter. I love it.
Amen. Yeah.
Thank you so much. The thought I would leave people with is, there's a tiny nuance here. Be kinder than you need to be.
Yeah.
So I have said that before. My poor brother, I pick on him so much. He's such a wonderful person. You would definitely want him to be your pilot on an airliner. He's amazing. But I once said that to him. I said, be kinder than you need to be. And he goes, I am kind. I'm the kindest person I know. And that made me really raise my game when I tell people to be kinder than they need to be. Because wherever we each start, in each circumstance, we have this opportunity to be kinder than the situation calls for. And then almost anything is possible. So that's what I'd like to leave people with.
I absolutely love it. Guys, thank you for tuning in. Bob, Dr. Lynda, absolutely love being able to have everybody start their day with this positive way. Gavin, thank you for being handsome and having hair. So guys, everybody remember, today is No Pants Day, and get out and do your thing. Just in case you forgot, be ready. Gavin and I are making sure to represent today. We're going to head out and donate some clothes, give back to give the change you want to see in the world, guys. Thank you again, and love you all so much. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
God bless. God bless.